Cut my toxic parents off after they betrayed me for my golden child brother. But I just discovered my girlfriend has been secretly spying on me for them the whole time. So some backstory, I, 28M, recently quit my job in real estate to start working on my own business. It's always been a dream of mine to build something of my own, and I think that now is the right time to start working toward achieving it. So a couple of months back, I quit my job and I decided that I was going to put all my energy into this. I had enough savings set aside and I had my mind made up. About half a year ago I asked my parents to become investors in the company because I could really do with their help and expertise since my dad comes from a business family and still handles their car dealership business, along with his brother. My mom's their accountant and so, I believed that I could do it with their help. I had this discussion with them at a family dinner, where my younger brother was also present and I think that was my biggest mistake. He's 25 right now and has been working in sales for a couple of years but he's always been very ambitious. A couple of weeks later, he informed us that he was also looking to start a business of his own and he also wanted my parents to invest. I thought he was joking but he wasn't and he had even quit his job and put in his notice because he said that he was serious about this and that I had inspired him to take this on. I was kind of annoyed but I tried not to let it bother me. Because it wasn't as though his decision was going to affect me in any way and I was wrong about that, which I didn't find out about until later. At another dinner a couple of weeks after my brother's announcement, my parents told me that they would only be able to invest in one of us. And if they had to pick someone to bet on, then it would be my brother. Funnily enough, they told me that he also wanted to start working in the real estate business, like I was. Even though he had no knowledge about that field and had never expressed any interest in learning about it, prior to my announcement about wanting to start my own business. I was very upset when my parents told me that they wouldn't be investing in my business and would rather place their bets on my brother instead. I didn't say anything to them for a while and was just trying to process the bad news when my brother decided that he was going to try and console me, but it just turned out to be pretty condescending. He told me that I didn't need to worry and that if I wanted to, then I could join him. Even though it wouldn't be an equal partnership, he just wanted me to have something at the very least. I thought that was a horrible thing to say to me, especially at a moment when I was trying to come to terms with the fact that my parents favored my brother over me. I had always known that, deep down, but it just hurt to realize it all over again and to get to know that what I believed was true. After what my brother said, I lost my cool and got into a really nasty fight with him where I accused him of trying to steal my ideas because he had none of his own. I called him a copycat and told him to go get a personality that didn't revolve around me. I brought up a couple of incidents from the past when we were in school, where he would just constantly try to do everything that I did and try to beat me at my own game or whatever. But would consistently fail and I told him that that's what would happen to him this time as well, so he needed to be prepared for it. My brother also got mad and rightfully so, and told me that it wasn't his fault that our parents preferred him over me because it was very evident why they favored him since he was just better. It was kind of petty and immature and my parents tried to break it up by insisting that they loved both of us equally. But they just believed that my brother had more business acumen, as compared to me, and even suggested that I do join him. As if I actually would. My brother went to business school but I had experience in the real world, and I knew what I was doing. Because I had been a real estate agent, he didn't have any of the experience that I did and did not know what he was talking about. So I couldn't figure out why my parents would just assume that he would be better at this than me, without even giving me a chance. The only possible explanation was that they had a favorite and it was very obvious to me that they did but it was not me. My brother was the golden child and there was no running away from it anymore. But after that day, I decided that I was going to have no contact with my family because it was just very insulting to be treated that way, like I was an idiot up to no good. It's been 6 months and I haven't spoken to them. My parents tried to reach out to me a couple of times after I left that day but when I didn't reply, they stopped trying after a few weeks. I haven't really attended any family events in the past couple of months either and I have kept to myself, even during the holidays. Because I don't want to run into them anywhere since I know it'll just be really awkward for all of us, it's best to just avoid all of it. I just haven't been in touch with them in any capacity and I actually prefer it that way. However, about 2 weeks ago, I found out something that really shocked me. My longtime girlfriend, of almost 3 years now, and I was taking a trip for the weekend. It was supposed to be a short romantic getaway where I was going to propose to her. She decided to take a shower a couple of hours after we reached the place and while she was in there, I wanted to charge my phone but I couldn't find my own and figured that I had probably just left it at home. So I decided that I was going to use hers instead. Her phone was on charge so when I grabbed it, I noticed that she had received several texts from my dad, whose contact she had saved by name. It was unusual because I couldn't imagine any conversations that she would need to have with my parents, especially when I'd gone no contact with them. And even though we have a strict no snooping policy, I broke it for just that once and I am so glad that I did. I had to guess her password because she had changed it and I didn't know the correct one anymore but, thankfully, I figured it out on the second try. It was her sister's birthday and they're pretty close-knit. And then, I went through the texts and realized that they had been speaking terms for several months now. I realized that most of the things that she would send were pictures of my business plan, a list of investors, locations that I wanted to set up, and just several other business-related documents that were confidential and my girlfriend was aware of it. I usually work out of our living room and she had easy access to those documents, so I wasn't surprised that she had been able to get her hands on them. But I was shocked to my core that she was sending these things to the last people I would want. I knew for a fact that my father would 100% use this against me to help my brother get ahead of me. I also figured out why my girlfriend was selling me out because, after everything that she sent him, my dad would specify a certain amount of money and would inform her that it had been sent and she would confirm that she had received it. So she was selling me out quite in the literal sense of the phrase. And I was disgusted when I realized what was going on because she was actually spying on me for my parents, in exchange for money. And it wasn't just pictures of documents and paperwork that was integral to the business that I was setting up, but she would also tell him other things about me. Like who from the family I met with, what I told my relatives about them, and worst of all, she would even rat me out whenever I would talk badly about them or my brother, even to her. And she would get paid for all of it. For context, my girlfriend is a freelance writer. She used to have a stable job, but she quit and decided to strike out on her own a couple of months after we started dating because I had told her that I would support her until she was able to support herself. And that hadn't happened yet, so I was still covering rent for her as she lived with me. I couldn't understand why she needed the money so desperately that she was willing to sell me out and sabotage our relationship. I never asked her to contribute to any expenses and just wordlessly kept working and paying for everything, while she tried to save whatever little that she earned herself. And I had never made her feel bad about it. She didn't ever borrow money from me for her personal expenses, which was great. But that's just about how independent she was, and I would say that I had a huge role to play in her having a home and food to eat every day. I'm not even bragging about it, it's just a fact. So her going out of her way to screw me over for some extra cash was pretty much insane and straight out of a badly made film or something. I was extremely disturbed when I saw that, and within a split second, I made up my mind that I was going to leave that very instant. I hadn't unpacked any of my bags yet, so I grabbed all my stuff and made my way to the parking lot of the hotel as quickly as I could. And once everything was in the car, I started driving back home. I didn't stop for a break or check my phone until I had put considerable distance between me and the hotel, and finally, after almost 2 hours of driving, I stopped at a gas station because I was feeling nauseated and needed a can of soda. It was then that I finally checked my phone and I had about 10 missed calls and way too many texts from my girlfriend. She was panicking about where I was and kept asking me if something was wrong and said that she was really worried. She even said that she didn't know what was wrong, but if I was going through something, then I needed to just come back and talk to her and we could sort it all out. So I guess that she hadn't realized that I knew about her spying on me for my parents. I didn't know what to say to her, so I decided to just stop everything, take a break, and think about everything for a while. I was horrified by the fact that my girlfriend of so many years had been spying on me for my parents, and I was feeling everything all at once: betrayed, hurt, angry, and sad. But then I got to thinking and decided that I was not going to let these people get the better of me and run away. I was going to make life hell for them. So I turned back around and started driving back towards the hotel because I had a plan in mind. When I returned to the hotel room, she seemed genuinely happy to see me, but I knew the truth now and had to do my best to pretend that everything was normal. I was repulsed by her, but I still acted as though I was fine and told her that the reason that I had been gone for so long without an explanation was because I was planning something for her. And I'd just freaked out for a bit in the middle of it, so I had to take some time out and calm down. She seemed confused until I went down on one knee and told her that I wasn't freaked out anymore. And that it was the thought of spending the rest of my life with her that really helped me make sense of things, and now, I knew that I was doing the right thing. She was really happy and accepted instantly, which just makes me think about how it's so insane that while she was stabbing me in the back all along, she was still more than happy to get married to me. After that, I told her that I wanted to reconnect with my parents to share this news with them since I'd had enough of our feud. I told her that I didn't want to get married without my family present, and so I thought that it was in all our best interest to just bury the hatchet, just to see how she would react to it. She seemed a little put off by what I said, but recovered within seconds and told me that she believed that it was a great idea and encouraged me to make amends with them as soon as I could. So I texted them right after we got engaged, while she spoke to her family and told them about us. They didn't reply for a day, but on the next day of our getaway, I received a text from my father saying that he was happy that I had chosen to apologize to them and make things right, and that they would love to be a part of my life once again. Once that was done, I started making arrangements for the engagement party right away. I told my girlfriend that I would plan it all myself because I wanted it to be a surprise for her, to make sure that she didn't get in the way of anything. One of my friends is an event planner and I got him involved. I hosted the party at my house and invited everybody that my girlfriend and I knew, including her family and her friends. It was a lot of hard work, but I managed to keep everything a secret from her until the very last moment, and I definitely did take her and my family by surprise. On the day of the party, once all our guests had arrived, I decided to make a speech and toast to our relationship. I thanked her and my family for everything that they did for me at first, and then I went on to the big reveal and told everybody that I knew what they had been up to for the last couple of months. And I made sure to make the speech as humiliating as possible. I called my girlfriend a sellout and I called my parents even worse names. But I had the best insults reserved for my brother, who I believed was the root cause of all of this. And I told him that even though he had access to all my business ideas now, it was just kind of sad because not even his own parents had any faith in him. And in spite of being the golden child, it really got him nowhere since he still had to rely on me to become successful. All of them were pathetic and I wanted to make sure that everybody in our lives was aware of it now. The party took place a week after I found out about my girlfriend's little arrangement with my family, so I had sufficient time to set everything up. And also obtained screenshots of my girlfriend's text conversations with my father from her phone, which was easy now that I knew her password and I just had to sneak into her phone while she was asleep and then delete all the proof. I had booklets made out of those screenshots that I had collected and had them distributed out to each guest individually after the speech just to prove how spineless and psychotic everybody involved in this was. All our guests were stunned but nobody was more shocked than my family and my girlfriend. She actually left the room crying and refused to come out until everyone was gone. Everybody pretty much cleared out after the distribution of the booklets but my family stayed and tried to fight me. I wasn't having any of it and I told them that if they didn't clear the premises, I would call the cops and then this would turn uglier than whatever was necessary. So it would be better for them if they left. And then, they went away. They were probably afraid that if this turned even uglier, then it would be hard to save face among their relatives who had heard everything. And this definitely would become the talk of the town in the next couple of days, so they didn't want any more trouble. I didn't hear from my parents after that, but I did have to talk to my girlfriend that very night. She did leave after the party and has moved back in with her parents but not before she tore into me that night and told me that I was a horrible human being for putting her through that. She told me that the only reason she was doing that was because she needed the money to fund her little sister's education since she was about to start med school a couple of months after she graduated. Her sister's still in high school, so that checked out. But I asked her why didn't she just ask for the money from me and she told me that she was too proud to do it and when my father offered to give her money in exchange for information on my business and other dealings, she didn't think it through and just accepted it. Apparently, my father had told her that he wanted to know about this because he wanted to help me with the business. But since I wouldn't speak to him, he had no other way and had to resort to these tactics. It didn't even occur to her that he might be using all that information to help my brother instead, even though she knew about the problems that we had been having and admitted that she had been very stupid not to think this through. But then she turned it around and told me that while what she had done was horrible, what I did was nothing short of psychotic either. She finally figured out that I'd known about what she was up to right from the day of our proposal itself. And she told me that I should have just broken up with her that day, instead of coming back after driving away just to screw with her and my parents and humiliate them in front of so many people. It was already a given that we were no longer going to be together anymore. But before she left, she told me that she was glad that I'd shown her my true colors because she was about to tell my father that she couldn't spy on me for them anymore and that she was going to call it off after our engagement. And that was the last conversation that we had before she left. Since the night of our engagement party, I haven't spoken to anybody and haven't done anything apart from just going to work and coming back home. I thought that the party and humiliating them would make me feel better about everything. But it really doesn't and I feel like she did have a point about me coming off worse in this scenario because what I did was actually pretty psychotic and I feel bad about it. So Ida for throwing my girlfriend a party just to humiliate her? Update 1. Hey, guys, so this is going to be a short update. But it's been 2 weeks since my ex and I broke up and today, she came back to grab a couple of things that she had left behind. We didn't talk to each other at all and the whole time, she just pretended that I wasn't even there which was hurtful. But it was well deserved. She did something incredibly insane and gave me trust issues for life and I humiliated her in front of all her friends and her parents. So I guess it's fine now because we can just call it even. It's still going to hurt for a while but I don't think I can do anything to help it now. I don't owe her an apology, that's for sure. So thank you for all the help and advice, you guys. I guess it worked because at least I feel better about myself now. And about my parents, they still haven't talked to me and I feel like it's for the best. They already have all my business plans and ideas, which sucks but there's not really much I can do to help the situation now that the damage is already done. The most that I can hope for is that my brother does the decent thing and doesn't utilize any of it, which seems unlikely because he is human garbage. And also, after the way I humiliated him at my party, I don't think he's going to want to hold back. So things are looking pretty bleak for me right now on the business front, at least but I hope that I get through it somehow. Update 2. Hi, everybody, it's been almost a month since the last update and I finally embarked on a new business journey today. I know it takes time to set up a new business but I'm already really excited to finally work and do something that I really enjoy. All the planning and house that I put into this has finally fructified and come to something. And this also means that I have something to take my mind off of my ex. I know that she did me dirty but that doesn't mean I can't still miss her and the good times that we had. I'm in therapy right now. And I'm trying to work through all the trauma and just process my feelings about everything in general. It's kind of difficult but now that I have my job to look forward to, I feel like things are going to start looking up for me now. Still no news about my brother or what he is up to but if I have managed to establish my business before him then that means that I have a head start and I have to make the most of it. So, my fingers are crossed. Update 3. So, I recently learned that my family is moving away because my brother is going to establish his business in a different state altogether since he doesn't want to be rivals anymore. I heard this right from the source because he told me all about it in a really long email and made sure to mention that he was sorry that I wasn't mentally stable enough to deal with my emotions like any normal, rational adult. And thought that it was okay to throw parties and humiliate people just because I was bad at confrontation and I just wanted to be the center of attention for once, even though I had no qualities that would justify it. But, he wished the best for me and hoped that I would stay away from him and our parents now. It's been almost 3 months since the night of the engagement party and I think I'm finally beginning to deal with it and process everything a lot better than I was back then. So that's great. I also heard that my girlfriend was finally going out on dates with other people now and was out and about like usual. So I guess everybody's moving on and so am I. My business is doing alright and with time, I'll be fine again.